Thank you so much for joining our webinar for World Day for Glaciers. This is official event of World Day for Glacier entitled 12 Regional Solution Glacier Melts Water Challenge and Science Diplomacy in the Hindu Kush Himalayas. As you know, in December 2022, the UN General Assembly established 2025 as the International Year of Glacier Preservation. The United Nations also designated March 21st as the annual World Day for Glacier, underscoring the vital role of glaciers, snow, and ice in our climate. APWF and ISIMOT is working as a member of International Year of Glacier Preservation 2025 Task Force 2 to enhance the issue in Himalayas. And in IYGP kickoff webinar held in 21st January, we highlighted the urgent issue of glacier melt in the Hindu Kush Himalaya and in its impact on water security and regional stability. We then stressed the urgency of coordinated international efforts, leveraging science, technology, and regional cooperation to address the challenge posed by glacier melt and ensure the sustainable future of Hindu Kush Himalayas region. Following the discussion on 21st January, today's webinar will focus on developing actionable regional solutions in Hindu Kush Himalayas. We aim to deepen our understanding of the crystophere's interconnectedness with water resource and stability, explore the power of regional cooperation and science diplomacy in transboundary water management, and outlining practical strategy and project for immediate and midterm implementation. And today we will firstly, welcome Dr. Shabas, APWS Vice Governing Council of Geneva, and also Director of UNESCO Office in Beijing, and UNESCO representative of Democratic Representative of Korea, Japan, Mongolia, and People's Republic of China, and the Republic of Korea. Followed by his opening remarks, Dr. Hyung-gon Zhang, Strategy Group Lead of ISIMOT, will deliver his keynote presentation. Then followed by keynote presentation, we will introduce the video by ISIMOT, and then we will move on to the panel discussion. So we are very, very happy to receive your question and comment through chat box in webinar. So please, comments or feedback us whatever you want. So now I would like to invite Dr. Shabas Khan to deliver his opening remarks. Shabas, please.
Thank you very much, dear Dr. Yumiko, and so nice to be here. Distinguished friends, guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Asia Pacific Water Forum, as the co-chair, I am very happy to welcome you all for this very important panel discussion on towards regional solutions, glacial melt, water challenges, and science diplomacy. So all of these are very important, carefully chosen words, and our focus today is Hindu Kush Himalaya. So in that regard, my gratitude to Dr. Yumiko to coordinate on behalf of Asia Pacific Water Forum, and for ISIMOD, International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, to be our partner, and the distinguished panelists we have, and the participants who have joined us in this very important dialogue as part of the World Water Day. And today in Paris, there are similar deliberations taking place. So this is a very important dialogue we started already earlier this year on tackling glacier melt and water challenges in Hindu Kush Himalaya. So this is a very important area which needs diverse and knowledgeable group of experts like yourselves and the stakeholders who are interested in these issues. So we need collective understanding and we need collective action. As I said last time, as a key stakeholder, I'm a farmer too in the region, and I feel the impacts of climate change and the changing climate. The weather patterns are so erratic, and growing crops this year has been very difficult for growing wheat in the Indus Basin. So you can imagine how it will impact on the food security. So today is an important part of our discussions towards addressing the urgency and the impacts of climate change on cryosphere, especially in the region where we are from. And many people call this region as the third pole due to its reserves of ice and snow. And these glaciers are not only critical source of fresh water, for over 1.9 billion people, and we are part of that family, but it's also a key regulator of regional and global climate patterns. So, as a scientist, I am sure that we have to work together for interdisciplinary solutions from a point of view of understanding the accelerating pace of glacier melt and what are the impacts on water security, on ecosystems, and very importantly, the livelihood of the people who live within this region. The impacts of glacier melt, I'm sure I don't need to elaborate. They are transcending national boundaries already. That's why we need science diplomacy. We need cooperation among nations. ECMOD is a wonderful center which has been doing it for many, many years. And also UNESCO with our role to bring nations together through our convening power through the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program and Asia Pacific Water Forum, which brings scientific as well as management interests from a number of institutions in the region. We need transboundary water management. We need transboundary water cooperation. We need transboundary diplomacy to promote equitable resource sharing, resource management, resource conservation. So that's why this panel discussion would be very important. And we will be looking into the dire consequences of glacier melt and how can we be part of the solutions? How can we deepen our understanding of the interconnectedness between our cryosphere, interconnectedness of our water security, interconnectedness of our regional stability? That needs really the strategies. Now, at this stage in my career, I see the role of cooperation even more important than the science itself, and how we can develop short to medium term strategies, and how can we engage with the political systems in the different countries in a constructive and positive way, and bring collaboration and innovation which is necessary for building resilience of the present and future generations. IHP has a number of events, as I mentioned before, and we are taking a lead on the international year, and we are working on regional cooperation frameworks as well as on building capacities. So I'm really looking forward to today's dialogue, how we can work together, and for each institution to add its special inputs, which can become part of APWF's work plan in the region. And certainly APWF has been playing a very important role in engaging with the investors like Asian Development Bank, also linking with the governments. There is also a very important link with the NARBO, the River Basins Organization, and very importantly, the knowledge providers like ECMOD and our regional presence through the IHP and the national presence through the national IHP committees through the relevant ministries. Let's have a wonderful discussion together and insights. I'm very pleased to see Dr. Faisal, who did a wonderful job last time on moderating. And I'm sure that spirit will continue, and the spirit of ECMOD bringing knowledge together to change the lives of the people in a positive way in this region. Thank you very much, dear Dr. Yumiko.
Thank you so much for Dr. Shabas to deliver very, very important key message in this the beginning of webinar is very, very, appreciated. Now we would like to move on to the keynote presentation by Dr. Kyung-gon Zhang, Strategic Group Lead of Ishibot. So floor is for Dr. Zhang, please. You are muted.
Okay, so can you see the screen? Okay, good. Okay, thank you, distinguished guests and our friends and my colleagues. It's my honor to be here to give the keynote speech to highlight the HKH and the water issues. So this presentation actually is prepared by our senior advisor, Aran Shrestha, and also I just joined ISMO 2 months ago. So before that, I worked at the Institute of Tibetan Plateau Research, Chinese Academy of Sciences. So this presentation, I would like to combine some information from ISMO and also the colleagues from China, and also some knowledge from all over the HKH regions to give some hints, to give some brief introduction about accelerated cross-field loads in the HKH, the impacts and the response. And I will start to see the HKH. I think most of people are already very familiar with this, but what I want to emphasize is that here is a region that covers 8 countries and also 10 major Asian river systems. Is actually originated from here and feeding 1.9 billion people living in the downstreams. So this is also why we call it Asia Water Tower. And one of the most important feature is that here we have the high altitude and also cold environment. So this is also a good thing that to develop many glaciers. And this is why that we call it third pole, because here we have the largest number or largest inventories of the glaciers outside the polar regions. So the first knowledge or the first question is how much water we have in these unique landforms. So here is some general information. I think this is not the accurate numbers, but this is already still the numbers we have from
Dr. Chan,
your
please. Slides are not there. Dr. Chan, your slides are not there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Let me check. So I think I have already. Which one? Okay, I hope everything is fine. Here. Okay. Now you can see it?
Yeah, no, it's there. It's there.
Okay. So how much water, right? Is that one?
Yeah, okay. Please go ahead.
Okay, so how much water we have? So this is a research conducted by the Chinese Academy of Sciences. So what we do is that we actually consider the big components, glaciers, lake, and rivers. We do some field observation and then we do some modeling to really try to calculate or estimate how much water we have. And you can see that the glacial volume is 8,855 kilometers. And for the water mass in the lake, it's 1,000 kilometers. And for the river flow, it's 656 kilometers. So total water volume all over the HKH, all the third pole regions, is 10,000 kilometers. So this is water we have, but you should pay attention to the ice. So ice is actually contribute to the largest even portion of the water. So here in the HKH regions. So the thing is that in the background of the global warming, actually in this region, we're facing the triple planetary crisis. So one is climate change. So we know that this region, because it's high, and actually we are suffering the rapid warming. So the warming rate is nearly 0.3 degree Celsius per decade. This is already twice higher than the global average warming. And in these warming steps, And we can see that the precipitation extreme also increased and the crossfire declining. And we have changing hydrology regime and extremes. And except for the climate change induced decline of crossfire, we are also facing the belt of the loss and the pollution. So here in this region, we really face the three crises in these concentrated regions. And in these regions also, we have so-called the climate crossfire water society nexus. And pay attention to the climate to society. In the middle, we have the crossfire and the water. So this is a really important thing that we should focus. So in the climate change, we can see that the temperature rise, and we have more rains or where more glacier melting. So we can see that the rapid glacier melting or the snow and the permafrost, and this will be induce again something about more water. But at the same time, sometimes we also facing a less rainfall, and we have the water scarcity, and we have too little waters. So the too much melting of the glaciers will also induce formation of the glacial lake and their outburst. We call the gulfs. Well, these these glacial lakes also will induce the floods. This will also bring us the too much water problems. And again, those sometimes the more rainfalls in the downstreams will again to add these burdens. So here we basically face too much of too less water issues, and these issues will impact water resources and also hazardous energy, agriculture, and whatever many aspects of the problems here we're facing in these regions. So let's focus on the glacier mass balance again to focus on the crossfire, because the crossfire is one of the most important components in the water here. So in the last several decades, we have been seeing that the glacier have been declining in an accelerated rate. So you can see that more concentrated in 2020 or 2010, we can see that the ice loss each year is increasing. So it means that we're facing an accelerated rate of losing ice. So this means that in 2010 to 2019, so in the last 10 years, each year we will lose like 0.3 meters water equivalents per year for all over the regions. And just want to give you a direct impression. So this is a glacier that ISMOD has been perform ground measurement since a long time ago. It's Recon Samba. So you can see that each year we will lose visibly 3 meters ice we lose from this glacier. So this is a lot of water. And from a large scale, we can also do some modeling work. And you can see that here in a 1.5 to 2 degree world, the glaciers in the HKH will lose 30 to 50 volume by the end of the 21st century. And of course, because just as I mentioned here, the warming is like twofold higher than the average. So in the future, we're likely facing the 3 or 4 degrees warming. And this will induce 55 to 75 loss of the ice volume. This is the major portion of the ice volume will be lost. But in looking at the crossfire HKH river basins, and we should realize that actually in different basins, the glacial area and also the percentage and also the accurate glacial area is different. So mean that in different basins, actually we have different percentage of the glaciers. And looking into very details, we should also realize that in each of the basin, actually snowmelt, glacial melt, and base flow, they contribute to different percentage of the water flow we can see. And what I want to emphasize is that in the Indus River, actually these regions receive the most important, the highest portion of the glacier or snowmelt. It's up to like 50%. So these regions will be impacted by the glacier melt mostly extensively. And one other important thing is we should realize that the accelerated increase of the crossfire will induce increasing of the water volume in the future. But after the shrink of the glacier volume, and later we will see the water will reach the peak, after which the water will decline. So in this region, we are going to facing this peak in the middle of the 21st century. So based on different model, we can see that the peak can come at 2050 or 2060. And what I want to emphasize that this is probably one of the last regions that will see the peak water. So means that in the next 20 or 30 years, we're facing increasing water, but later we're facing the decreasing water because in the Alps or Rocky Mountains or our other mountain regions in South America, we already seen this peak. So in this region, we will see the peak in the next 20 or 30 years. So this is also a very important message. And looking at the melt contribution to the flow and the irrigation, again, we can see that in some regions, like what I mentioned, in industrial basin, this is the key contributor to the irrigation area. And also, Indus has the highest water tower index in the world, ranking as the most vulnerable river basins. And one other problem is this river flow is facing extreme flows. So the extreme flow is also projected to doubling by the end of the century. So mean that here the water, we have water, but the water will be fluctuated much. So this is also a problem we should face. So the too much water and extremes are increasing. One of the most the attracting or the important issue is that the Gulfs. So means that the glacier lake outburst will increase. And also those kind of the too much water events happened, it will induce direct impact on the infrastructure and also the human lives in the downstreams. So here is one of the examples. So you can see that in 2007, this is hydropower in the downstream. But in 2019, after a major growth happened, you can see that infrastructure have been damaged. And in this region, actually, in the future, we're facing threefold increase of the growth risks across the entire HKH regions. So this means that we need to develop some early warning system and also do some research assessment to know which glacial lakes is very important or risky in the future. And in all, I want to also bring another message is that although we are projecting to see that the water will be increased, and now this is a modeling work. So we can see that in the future the upstream supply will be at 82.1 cubic kilometers. But because the downstream we have 1.9 billion people, so here most of the regions is undeveloped or developing countries, developing zones. So the demand of the water is increasing. So we can see that in the future, we're foreseeing the demand of the water is nearly 180 cubic kilometers. So mean that although we will see an increase of the water flow, but still we are facing the problem of lack of water in total. So to respond to these challenges, so actually EastMod has been doing a lot of work on ground. So one of the, I would like to give some examples to show that we do some work in different skills. So in local skills, we developed a community-based flood early warning system. This is kind of a small-scale application. And on the sub-national or national levels, we have developed flood forecasting and outlooks, and also like climate services to indicate the risk for infrastructures. While in the transpondary and regional levels, we also convening the platform to bring the stakeholders to talk together, to share knowledge, to share experiences, to make the plan for the future together. And in global scale, we also work to increase awareness of the HKH risks and also influencing the global negotiation and lobbying for investments from some financial department. So the key message we want to bring to you is the crisis is happening now, and we will be facing extreme and more frequent and severe impact in the coming days. And there will be more cross-field hazards, and this too much or too little water is a major challenge. And facing these challenges, we must take immediate actions, and the cooperation should come at all levels. Okay, thank you. So in this very beginning of the very day of the Glacier Preservation Day, I would like to call for your efforts and attention to join us to address the water issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Dr. Zhang to deliver your very, very key presentation, updating our last January's keynote presentation. And now we would like to introduce a short video about 5 to 6 minutes. And this video is about Ishimoto's new project inspired by Protect Our Winters Downstream. Ishimoto is bringing together young regional filmmakers to tell the story of the 10-meter Trans-Valley River, as Ishimoto is uniting scientists to bring shared knowledge and strategy. Ishimoto project begins with Indus, and because Ishimoto, Indus, it's in Ishimoto's research analysis, the outlook shows more than 23% of decline in Indus persistence. That is the lowest in 2020 years in 22 years. And the conference brings these statistics to life, sharing the human story behind them to highlight the urgency of protecting glacier in Hindu Kush Himalayas. So now, and this video is directed by Pakistani filmmakers. So now the beginning of video. So please.
हमारा बाप दादे वो भी यही काम करते थे, ग्लेशियर काट के कहाँ से कहाँ काट के वहाँ पानी पहुँच जाते थे। पहले सामान नहीं था, ये याक का सिंग से, ये मारखोर के सिंग से जो ना ये ग्लेशियर काटते थे। ग्लेशियर नहीं काटो तो हमारा पानी आता ही नहीं है।
इस ग्लेशियर के अलावा हमारे पास और कोई पानी का ज़रिया नहीं है। इसी को काट के लाते हैं या पाइप लगा के पानी थ्रू करते हैं। तो ये आहिस्ता आहिस्ता मेल्ट होके तकरीबन ख़त्म हो रहा है। ये काफ़ी नीचे गया है। 20-30 सालों में ना ये तकरीबन 40 फुट से नीचे ज़्यादा नीचे गया है। क्योंकि सुबह आ जाओ तो सिचुएशन कुछ और है, शाम को छुट्टी करके आ जाओ तो दूसरे दिन जो है ना किसी और जगह में जाता है। तो इसलिए हमें रोज़ाना आना पड़ता है। एक दिन भी मिस हो गया तो हमारा पानी का निज़ाम ख़राब होता है।
मोहब्बत है तो हम इस ग्लेशियर में जो ना इतना काम करता है। जैसे बच्चे है, जैसे ज़मीन भी अपना वो है।
मेरे जो बाबा और मेरे जो दादा हैं वो उन्होंने जो है हमारे लिए बहुत प्यारी सी जगह बनाई है। और उसके साथ साथ ये कि हमारी जो ग्लेशियर है वो कहते हैं कि वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है ना कम होती जाती है। मुझे जो है ना मेरे गांव और मेरे वैली से हुंजा से बहुत ज़्यादा मोहब्बत है। मतलब जब मैं छोटी थी तो उससे अब तक की लाइफ में मैंने जो है ना कभी इस तरह नहीं हुआ था कि हम जो है ना पानी हमारे गांव में ना आए या इस तरह कुछ। लेकिन इस साल जो है ना इस तरह हुआ कि हमने पानी का बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किलात का सामना किया कि पानी नहीं आया हमारे गांव में। अभी इन्होंने मतलब मेरे बाबा लोगों ने, हमारे गाँव के लोगों ने काम करके थोड़ी बहुत काश्तकारी वगैरह के लिए पानी लेके आए वो। अपने बच्चों को भी यही सिखाऊंगी कि मैं यहाँ पे रही हूँ, मैंने अपने जो ना वैली से, अपने गांव से मोहब्बत की, तो उनको भी मैं यही सिखाऊंगी कि आप भी जो है ना इसी तरह अपने वैली से उनके फ्यूचर के बारे में सोचते रहें।
ग्लेशियर्स के साथ मेरा कुछ दोस्ती रही है। दोस्ती का लफ्ज़ इसलिए इस्तेमाल किया कि हम जो पैदा हुए तो इसी ग्लेशियर के साथ और पले बड़े इसी ग्लेशियर के साथ, इसी दरिया के साथ। सुबह शाम हमारा उससे वास्ता रहता है। तो ग्लेशियर्स सिर्फ हमारे लिए नहीं बल्कि तमाम इंसानियत के लिए जो ना ग्लेशियर्स का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है। और ग्लेशियर्स अगर पिघले ख़त्म हो गए तो शायद हमें अपने इन ज़मीनों को, इन दरख्तों को पानी देना बहुत मुश्किल, इवन ख़ुद के लिए भी जो ना पानी मिलना मुश्किल हो जाएगा।
Thank you. The great is made by not very young regional filmmaker from Nepal. So now we would like to move on to the panel discussion. We will invite Dr. Faisal Kamal, Intervention Manager of ISIMOT, as a moderator, and we will welcome 5 panelists. And 5 panelists we are inviting today is also the same panelist. So we will deepen the discussion based on our discussion result in the January webinar. So Faisal, could you please moderate the panel discussion? Thank you.
Thank you, Yomiko Asayama, for facilitating these critical discussions. Good day, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to our ongoing discussion towards regional solutions, glacial melt, water challenges, and science diplomacy in the Hindu-Kush Himalayan region. Following our engaging session in January, today's dialogue builds on strategic direction outlined by Dr. Shahbaz Khan and critical insights shared by Dr. Cheong Gong Chang. Also, in the documentary from Pakistan, we witnessed how local communities are struggling with numerous challenges posed by accelerated glacial melt and water shortages. These perspectives have set the foundation for us to explore further actionable solutions in these discussions. As highlighted by Yumiko Asamaya and Dr. Shabazz, this session is particularly special as it coincides with the World Day for Glaciers, and interestingly also the World Day for Forests as well, which reaffirms our commitment to addressing the urgent challenges posed by accelerated glacial melt in the HKH region. Our panel today consists of the same distinguished experts we had in January, with rich experience, knowledge, and vital for our discussions and understanding and moving forward. So we have the honor of presence of Dr. Muhammad Arif Gohir, Executive Director at Global Climate Change Impact Study Center, who brings crucial perspective on climate change adaptation from Pakistan. Dr. Sanjay Srivastava, Chief of Disaster Risk Reduction at UNESCAPE, whose expertise in implementing technology and nature-based solutions are really interesting. I'm also expecting that in a while, Dr. Arun Shrestha, who is Senior Advisor at EC Mode, will join, who has tremendous experience and knowledge on glacial melt change and its implications. We are also looking forward that two of other panelists will join. Many of our regional member countries have in-person meetings. Probably we are having challenges in timely attendance of them. I'm hoping that as we start, they will be able to join. So to fill in the timely gap, maybe I will request Dr. Shabazz if he can somewhere like fill in the gap if needed. Sir, apologies for this last minute request. To proceed with the first set of question, let us dive into the first round of question to our panelists. I'll request Dr. Muhammad Arif Gohir, reflecting on our previous discussion about the impact of accelerated glacial melt. Could you please share further insights which you had during your recent meetings at Ministry of Climate Change and deliberate on the immediate actions would you propose for the HKH region? Dr. Arif Gohir, over to you. Dr. Arif Gohir. You are muted. Okay. We can't hear you, Dr. Gohir. No. Dr. Gohir, we cannot hear you. I think there is some issue with mic. Oh, okay, Dr. Gohir. I'll move forward to the next speaker. I'll request Dr. Sanjay Sravastava to please come in. In the meantime, Dr. Gohir try to fix his mic issue. Dr. Sanjay, following up on your insights regarding the role of technologies and nature-based solution, could you identify one or two specific technology or initiative that could be immediately implemented to enhance water climate resilience in the HKH region? What support structures are necessary to ensure successful implementation of those solutions? Dr. Sanjay, over to you. Dr. Yumiko, can you please check with Dr. Sanjay? I think he's...
Okay. I think he's currently be disconnected, and now Dr. Arun is joining. So maybe firstly, yes,
Okay.
from Dr. Arun.
Welcome, Dr. Arun. Yeah. Can we see you, Dr. Arun? Like, yeah. Are you ready?
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Arun. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Dr. Arun. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a great day today. We have some technical glitches with other two panelists, and we are moving forward to you before your turn, Dr. Arun. So
Can you give me 2 minutes?
sure,
I'm
sure,
just
please.
joining.
Sure,
I'm just
please. Sure,
joining.
please.
I'm
Yeah.
jumping from
Sure,
another. Give
please.
me 2 minutes
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to.
So
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
yeah. So I'll yeah, to fill in the gap, I'll request Dr. Shahbaz Khan to if you can kindly like elaborate on you have mentioned in your opening remarks that UNESCO has the mandate of bringing nations together. So if we can have some perspective from your side, how UNESCO hydrology program or UNESCO itself has been contributing in regional cooperation, especially like water and beyond water. Dr. Shahbaz?
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, it looks like we are short of panelists today. So let me try to give some idea. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is a key challenge. How do we bring regional cooperation? Let me try to turn my video on. So regional cooperation is not so easy. It's easy said than done. And what IHP has been trying to do is to start with science diplomacy. So science diplomacy in the context of bringing scientists together. ECMOD itself is an example of science diplomacy, that we are able to have the member states coming together, sitting together and talking to each other. So scientist to scientist, first of all. So we are trying to bring the scientists together, the water managers together, then also looking into the mechanisms of the United Nations, like working with WMO. So we had a program called Hydrology for Environment, Life and Policy, which brought together lawyers, which brought together politicians. So many of those things have been done in that way. So maybe it can be a bottom-up approach from science to the political system. And then the other top down, maybe from the political system down to the society. So there can be one over the other, but we need to make progress. So we have some success. For example, we have the guidelines which are shared across borders. But there are always hurdles as well. Nobody wants to talk about sharing and equity of water, and those challenges still remain. So from that point of view, we need to bring science diplomacy across borders, sharing of data during, for example, emergency situations like floods or droughts, or also the ability to share technologies across borders. So there is a lot of that work which can be done before we talk about controversial issues about the origin of water, who is using, who is owning, and how this water controversies can be solved. So maybe, dear Faisal, those are some of the context I can give. And our centers and our UNESCO chairs have been very successful part of the mechanism.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So Dr. Arif Gohir, have you had any success in fixing the mic?
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's great.
So I'll repeat my question, Dr. Arif Gohir. Reflecting on our previous discussion about the impact of accelerated glacial melt, could you share further insights that have emerged, like particularly it's not a long time, but I know that there has been a couple of meetings where Pakistan is in effort to making some strategies around glaciers. If you can enlighten us most recent findings or knowledge which you gathered during this time, and also what immediate action would you propose to mitigate these effects in the short term as well as long term?
Thank
Dr.
you.
Arif
Thank
Gohir,
you.
over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to ICIMOD, UNESCO, and the Asia Water Forum for organizing the panel discussion on regional solutions, glacial melt, water challenges, and science diplomacy in the HKH region in commemoration of the world's first day for glaciers. Much grateful to Dr. Shehbaz for his very insightful remarks, followed by the presentation and a video. Especially thankful for sharing the video about Pakistan's glaciers, emphasizing how rapid glacier melting is expected to impact communities and disrupt their cultural ties. Dr. Faisal, you have asked a very, very pertinent question. We all know that the accelerated rate of glacier melt in the region is no longer a distant concern. It is an urgent crisis that demands immediate science-based interventions and for which all the member countries of ICIMOD are striving hard. I'm just coming from the inaugural session of the launch of Pakistan Glacier Protection and Resilience Strategy that is now open for public opinion and discussion, wherein we have identified while depicting the vulnerabilities of the country in the region, also highlighted some short to medium term strategy to long-term strategies, how we can preserve these glaciers, how the communities can be saved. Since the report says that the glaciers in this region disappeared 65% faster during the last decade as compared to the previous decade. GCISC's findings are also not different to that what we are doing over here. If we look at the recently downscaled CMIP6 climate change projections that portray that while short-term glacier melt surges may provide temporary water availability, but after the mid-century, we are likely to face severe reductions in meltwater supply, posing critical risks to the livelihoods, agriculture, hydropower generation in the country. This necessitates a shift from reactive crisis management to proactive adaptation and governance. The formation of supra-glacial lakes, as we have very, you can say, in the recently seen in Pakistan, which are driven by rapid glacier melt, is another alarming trend for the country. Even the studies from ICIMOD and EVK to CNR confirm that there are over 3,000 glacial lakes that are existing in the GB, Gilgit-Baltistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces in the country. Out of these 3,000 glacial lakes, around 33, 34 lakes are prone to Gulf events. The very alarming thing for the northern region of Pakistan is that the rate of change in temperature or rise in temperature is more than twice than the national average. This is very alarming. So there is a dire need for evidence-based science, for collective action, and action at the community level, which we are not realizing at the governance level in the country. While you have gone through the video where the people and communities are showing their association with the glaciers, their dependence upon the glaciers, how their livelihoods are being run, We in the past have done two projects like GLOV 1 and GLOV 2, but still I feel that a lot of work needs to be done for the communities who are dependent. It is not only the question of the communities, those are living in those areas, but the entire industry system. And who knows better than Dr. Shabazz, who has practically worked. And when I started this center, I know he was working as a modeler, water modeler, hydrological modeler on that system. So there is a dire need for action to, to address the challenges in the short term and medium term, like scaling up the glacier monitoring by expanding automatic weather stations, telemetric networks, AI-driven remote sensing tools for real-time well tracking. So a lot of work has been done under the GLOF 2. For example, we have installed more than 192 automatic weather stations, gauging stations. But despite that, we need to act on the soft solutions of well, implementing adaptive water management strategies, including high altitude reservoirs, ice stupas, glacier melt harvesting to ensure the water sustainability for this region. We also need to strengthen the governance frameworks for formalizing the protected areas in the high altitude zones and regulating the activities like unsustainable tourism and mining, which accelerate glacier degradation. All these things aside, the challenge is so mammoth that a single country can't tackle it alone. The third pole is under severe threat. Regional collaboration, as Dr. Shabazz highlighted, is very pivotal, where science supports for policy making, for actions. The cross-border data sharing agreements are very vital for improving our understanding of this region dynamics for a concrete actions. So what we need now is to be decisive with the coordinated action before we cross the irreversible tipping points. I will stop over here and try to delve more in the next round of my intervention. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Faisal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arif Gohir, for very pertinent points. Bring what are the ways forward of solving some of the challenge. We know that it's hard to address it holistically, but as much we can do. So I'll move forward to Dr. Sanjay Sravastava. I hope like if we can see you and hear you, Dr. Sanjay, so that yeah. Thank you very much for rejoining.
No. Sorry, I don't know what went wrong. I got disconnected for a while. I'm here in Dushanbe for the similar context, International Year of Glacier Preservation, a science conference which government of Tajikistan has organized. So I'm speaking from just next door of the Glacier conference. So that's the reason there are some disruption, but don't worry, I'm here online. And
we really appreciate, Dr. Sanjay, that you could make it with all those commitments. Many of our panelists have these multiple commitments. I think Dr. Arun has a similar situation where he's sitting on the sidelines of another meeting. So thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. So I'll come back to the question. Following up on your insights regarding role of technologies in our first panel, could you identify one or two specific technology or initiative that could be immediately implemented, enhancing water resilience in the HKH region? What support structure is required for adoption and implementation of those solutions? Dr. Sanjay, over to you, please.
Thank you, Faisal. I thought I should respond to this question in a little structured manner so that I think this becomes a little clearer. So allow me to make a brief presentation, 3 to 5 minutes. This is the question that you have raised to me. For me, I wanted to focus on impact part of the glacier hazard in third pole. In today's context, most of the early warning or risk assessment, risk analytics is moving from simply understanding hazard to looking at the impact on the people, across the sector and across the system. So it's if you look at this third pole, which Professor Khan spoke quite eloquently, the third pole, the last one, the southern part of the third pole, that is the Hindu Kush Himalaya, the drivers are snow, rainfall together. We heard this in the previous presentation of EC mode. But what I thought to flag is when the drivers are snow and rain, what could be the impact of the snow and rain? We looked at the impact drivers in Hindu Kush Himalaya, and of course, the climate, annual climatology. That's a very important factor because this is more dynamic feature than terrain, anthropogenic factor. These are the impact drivers, just to make it little clearer. But what I wanted to flag purposefully is what to do to make impact like a narrative to inspire multiple stakeholders to address the glacier issue, the glacier related risk and vulnerability issue. So when you do a impact modeling, particularly in third pole, in Hindu Kush Himalaya context, these are the factors: the elevation, slope, temperature, precipitation, land use, land cover, and hydrologic analysis. How can you take these in a model form and bring the question which you asked to me was what is the technology that you will use all these impact drivers and translate this in form of the impact scenarios, which could be on the population, energy, health, water. So those are the key deliverables which should come from the impact modeling. My next point, which I would like to share with you, in the impact drivers, there are more important part, which is a seasonal forecast. In the third pole, last year, we introduced Third Pole Climate Forum. Third Pole Climate Forum brings the temperature, precipitation, and also snow cover, which is still in little research domain. But the three parameters, which are quite dynamic in Hindu Kush Himalaya, you need to understand in a particular season: monsoon, winter, summer. Rest of the factors, for example, the static, mostly proximity to a stream, this is location specific, land use, land cover, to some extent semi-dynamic, and then finally you come to the terrain and hydrology factor, that is DM, slope. Then we have used many of the research analysis to provide the weightage in Hindu Kush Himalaya, which factor dominates the impact and the risk. So the weightage given is 35% to weather and climate factor, 30% to static location, 15%, and 10 plus 15% hydrologic and terrain. So you put all this weightage factor in one place, and what you do, you reclassify all this and bring out the impact scenario. So you are in a position to look at the impact based on the seasonal forecast data before the season sets in Hindu Kush vast terrain area. What I want to tell you is how to do it. You can't do this manually. You need a real data science, and it cannot be done by just one data platforms or by any agency. You need multiple data platforms to automate the impact of weather and climate in a particular season in Hindu Kush Himalaya. What we have done is we have brought together, ISCAP has a risk and resilience portal which has all exposure data to particularly to infrastructure. Then we have taken AP-PLAT. This is the great initiative of National Institute of Environment, Government of Japan, which provides many of the agriculture and water related sector specific features, which is complements the risk and impact scenarios of ISCAP portal. Then we take the CDRI GIRI. This is a unique infrastructure related portal, and then you use AI-based solution. Here, I wanted to flag this point a little more clearly because this is the question you have asked to me. AI here in this case, normally AI is being used in a very loosely in a different context. But here in this context, you use machine learning, especially this is what is called the supervised classification, where you insert your slope, your static and non-static factor, and then you use deep learning, which is unsupervised classification, which quantify the impact. So machine learning and deep learning together in this data analytics solutions, which is based on the multi platform basis, provides you the real impact scenario. My last point is if you are working on the pathways for adaptation and resilience for glaciers preservation, it's important to capture the risk because the risk here is quite often quite seasonal, and that's what we capture through this. So impact based is provides one solution, and that is all analytics based, technology based. So thank you, Faisal. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. Very innovative and integrated solution with lots of complexities, multi-institution, multi-platform. I think that's these are the kind of to deal with those complex challenges we definitely need with this complexity and bringing institutions together. I'm sure this initiative can bring in many more institutions beyond CDRI, UNESCAPE, and API. We also look forward to collaborating on this exciting idea or solution. So let me move forward to Dr. Arun Shrestha. So thank you very much, Dr. Arun Shrestha, for again coming out of another government-led meeting. So and in the last panel, you were the keynote presenter. So now you have another like there you presented the science, but here we are asking for some strategic questions from you as we approach the International Year of Glacier Preservation and the decade of action for cryosphere science. Dr. Shrestha, what preparatory steps should EC Mode and other partners should take ensure impactful outcome in this year and next decade? That is again focus on diplomacy. Could you suggest any strategic initiative that could launch in this region? Dr. Arun Shrestha, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faisal. Please first let me know if you can hear me okay.
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you very much. As you have rightly mentioned, it has been a very busy day for all of us and joining multiple, kind of sessions, which is also good because, this is also a very joyful day for those people who have been dedicated for a long time to these issues, climate change and, cryosphere melting and the impact it is happening. So to get to your question, unfortunately, I'm sitting, outside a very busy and noisy hall. So I probably have to be a little bit brief in my deliberation. So I will get directly into the question. Yes, as we launch the International Year of Glacier Preservation and head for decade of action for cryospheric science, we all know we are at a very critical juncture. The Hindu Kush Himalaya or third pole, whatever you name it, it is experiencing unprecedented changes. The warming rate is quite high, twice as high as global average, leading to accelerated cryosphere decline, having multiple of impacts like changes in flows and increased risks, having serious impacts on communities and their livelihood. So I don't want to get into those details, but all those calls for urgent action. And I wanted to touch on what Dr. Goel mentioned about the transboundary nature of all those challenges. So I think that is very important, and therefore my pitch would be for ensuring impactful outcome. Science diplomacy is very important, and this is what we have been promoting as institution ECMOD together with various partners. We have been working on that. So to get to your question on the preparatory action, I think there are three major things I would like to mention here. One is we definitely need to strengthen the regional science policy collaboration. This is a must, and particularly because of lack of certain, structured mechanism in this region. So I think the science diplomacy is very important, which should directly inform policy decision. We need certain platforms where governments, scientists, and practitioners co-develop, policies based on cutting-edge research. I think that's very much important. And for that, I think we need to harmonize our effort in various fronts, including monitoring has to be harmonized, data preparation has to be harmonized, and data, accessing has to be harmonized. I think that is one broad area. The second, looking at the impacts happen at local level. So I think enhancing climate resilience through local investment is very important. And there also we can have this dimension of regional sharing and transboundary sharing. So there are ample, good practices happening to, limit the impacts of cryosphere loss, its impact on livelihood. So exchanges between communities across the region is very important. So ECMOD and partners, I think we can really do some exchanges to learn from each other and scale those good experiences. And I think the third thing here is to leverage global platform for regional gains. I think that's another area where we need to really emphasize on. Now, moving on to the second part of your question, I think what I would also say is that, science diplomacy I have talked about. I would like to now move into some concrete experience we have already had in this front, the science diplomacy. And I would like to cite our experience in the Indus Basin called the Upper Indus Basin Network. This is a network which serves as a compelling example of how scientific collaboration can bridge geopolitical divide, even in a very politically sensitive basin like Indus, and inform policy and build resilience in this very cryosphere-dependent river basin. Our experience in Upper Indus Basin Network demonstrates that science can be a unifying force, even where political cooperation remains challenging. And it also highlights that this kind of science, knowledge platform actually in the long run can actually feed into more, advanced political level cooperation, because this is a mechanism which actually brings trust among the riparian countries. And using the experience of Upper Indus Basin, we are now, as you are very much involved and leading it now also, Dr. Faisal, is expanding it to other river basins of Hindu-Kush Himalayan region. As an example, we have already started in Yarlung-Zampu, Brahmaputra River Basin, and then probably will expand to other river basin also, which I think is a very long-term initiative that we need to do. We have to be patient. It's a slow process, but I think this is something which really is necessary to bring in the knowledge, transboundary knowledge sharing, and using it for more stronger cooperation among the riparian countries for stronger political will and political cooperation. I will limit my submission to this point, Dr. Faisal, and if there are any other additional queries, I'll be happy to entertain. Thank you very much. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arvind Shrestha, for a very comprehensive deliberation. You have almost covered the second set of questions as well, which was closely connected, that what are the way forwards, what ECMOD is exactly doing. So thank you very much for your deliberation. I'll move back to Dr. Muhammad Arif Gohir. So as Dr. Arun highlighted some of the regional initiative which EC Mode is taking to better manage those river basin systems, which are mostly glacial fed. So Dr. Gohir, if you can enlighten us further on GCICS initiatives in the Indus Basin or at beyond Indus Basin in Pakistan, which are making change in water management, especially the snow and glacial fed water systems. Dr. Arif Gohir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Faisal, for this very pertinent question. As a leading institute, a research organization, Global Change Impact Study Center is, I can say that the center is uniquely positioned to assess and evaluate the impacts of climate change and extreme weather events on snow and glacier dynamics in the HKH region. Our expertise allow us to estimate location-specific river flows and discharge patterns using hydrological modeling and advanced remote sensing tools and techniques, ensuring that water resource management is informed by scientific data and climate projection. That is the core mandate of the GCISE. Given this mandate and given the situation, rapid melting of the glaciers and the question of the survival of the communities, it's not only the GCISE, but we need to think strategically at the national as well as the international levels. National level, as it is also enshrined in the glacier strategy that we just launched a couple of hours before, we are trying to hook up with the Pakistan Meteorological Department, Water and Power Development Authority, International Water Management Institute here, then SPARCO and National Disaster Management Authority. We are trying to work with another big project like GLOF3. So this is what we are trying to do, but this time in a well-coordinated way. Another key initiative that GCAC can lead or coordinate over the next years is the Glacier Integrated Water Security and Early Action System, GVS, a multi-dimensional platform you are well aware of it, that is designed particularly to integrate glacier monitoring, predictive water resource modeling, and climate risk early warning system. So this is highly needed until and unless the early warnings are there, the warnings are properly translated for the communities. These are robust, timely, and credible. So the goal will not be achieved. Then the dynamics of the glaciers is different in different glaciers. For example, we talk about the Karakoram anomaly that is still, you can say, I must say that it is not well scientifically proven sort of things. We need more research on it. And this is this kind of research on which we feel the local capacities are limited. And here we are in the need of UNESCO, EC Mod, international water partners to come up with the scientific solutions so that the fate of the glaciers, at least in the Karakoram region, which we called it as Karakoram anomaly, might be well cleared, and we are able to sensitize our policymakers for concerted actions over there. So again, emphasizing that where GCISE is well poised to do research, we need the support of national and international partners. At the national level, since I have joined as the executive director of GCISE, I have tried to come up with the memorandums of understanding with the aforementioned institute like Pakistan Meteorological Department, WAPTA, SPARCO, NDMA. On the same lines, I want to have well-connected linkages with the institutions like EC Mode, EVK2CNR, Asia Water Forum. So these are our targets, so that at least at GCASE level we can provide the most robust science of this region, of this country, to our policymaker for concerted actions, so that in the end we can say that the technology is there, science is there, but it will be the only will for action that will be needed for this the preservation of these glaciers. Thank you, Dr. Faisal. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arif Gohir. Let me congratulate you on this formulating this Pakistan Glacier Protection and Resilience Strategy. In my knowledge, this is going to be a first of its kind in the region. So in a very short time with your leadership, I think if, you could make it. We look forward to have details around it. You already outlined some of the salient feature where you are bringing all connected institutions together. So I think that's great to hear. Then regional institution like EC Mode, UNESCAPE is also looking forward to contribute in those national strategies. Thank you very much, Dr. Gohir. And then I'll go back to Dr. Sanjay Sravasna again. So Dr. Sanjay, if likewise, if you can also elaborate on the initiatives which are being taken at UNESCAPE, and then the ways where regional member countries can connect with UNESCAPE initiatives, and also like regional institutions like EC Mode can connect with those initiatives. So Dr. Sanjay, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Faisal Saab. There is a third pole, the Climate Center Network, TPCN, and which connects Karakoram, Pamir, Himalaya, Hindu Kush Himalaya, along with Tansen. It's a very big partnership. It's a part of WMO, Regional Climate Forum. So Third Pole Climate Forum, EC Mode is also a member of it. ISCAP is also a member of it. Adaptation at Altitude. There are many knowledge institutions which are the member of the Third Pole. What I presented to you, most of the countries are, led by the hydrometeorological agencies. For example, in Pakistan, it is PMD. And as my colleague Arun Sastraji was talking about, this is yet another important initiatives of the scientist community, which has gone much beyond the geopolitical issues. The Third Pole has three nodes. One node that is the eastern part led by China, another node led by Pakistan, south part of the third pole, the third pole node is led by India, and the rest of the countries are, the members of the third pole. So the point I'm trying to highlight is there is a will, particularly among the scientific community, to work together across the mountain. The value that ISCAP is bringing to the table, while Hydromet Agency works together to develop what is called third pole climate, the climate products and services, which are basically temperature, precipitation, and now snow cover. What we do, what I presented to you, is translate this in form of the impact across the sectors. And the model that I presented a short while ago, based on the data science AI, is an effort to take the broaden the scope of partnership from hydromet to other sectors. So this is the opportunity ISCAPS through Third Pole Climate Forum is providing. We have many capacity development activity. The next Third Pole meeting is by Indian Meteorological Department in June. We have a training on how to do impact-based forecasting for temperature, precipitation to the impact. So we had the portal which I highlighted. It has a exclusive capacity development module, which we are finalizing for third pole countries, particularly for Hindu Kush Himalaya. So those are some initiatives to take science. And in the present context, it is all digitalization of early warning services. So this is an effort to take early warning to the impact-based forecasting in such a complex terrain like Hindu Kush Himalaya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. So, yeah, it's impressive to see that 3 regional countries are running this third pole climate forum together, and then supported by institutions like UNSK, PC Mode, and so on. And then also like translating those forecasts into impact. And I think that's the emerging need. We need to adapt to emerging situations, both at decadal scale as well as seasonal scale. So thank you very much for your deliberations. Right. So, and we have already heard from Dr. Arun Shrestha about EC More's initiative. So I'll take...
I can go a little bit more if you have time in depth and explain a little.
Sure, Dr. Arun, please come forward.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Please,
you. Okay, I will again not be too exhaustive, but limit to 2 points. One is first one is a little bit reinforcing what I just said in the first round and explaining a little bit. Now, to start with, which sounds like a little bit philosophical concept, which I call vicious circle of mistrust. I think you have heard about that. So you can start anywhere, but I would start from stating that this region, when it comes to water, when it comes to river basin, there is a big mistrust among countries, right? And therefore there is a big geopolitical sensitivity between those countries sharing common water, river basins. And because of that, what a lot of areas suffer, but also does the knowledge cooperation suffer. So we do not have knowledge cooperation. We do not have science cooperation. So science is fragmented. We conduct science research in a fragmented way in limited geographic areas, right? So our understanding is also therefore incomplete. And this actually leads to a lot of knowledge gaps. And we have a lot of myths around what is happening and what are the consequences. I don't want to get into those details, but there are a lot of myths and misconceptions due to knowledge gap, which actually feeds back into this mistrust issue, and the geopolitical sensitivity remains or enhances. So that closes the loop, the vicious circle of mistrust. So it goes on and on. And therefore, it is very important to break one of the linkages, right? So where do we think should we hit? As EC Mode, which is knowledge organization, we think that one potential area, there could be other, is on the knowledge front, right? So we really need to enhance cooperation in knowledge, which we call science diplomacy. And for that, there are ample, evidences across the region, and we thought that having a strong knowledge network in river basin is very important. So that is just a little bit of explanation. And I have talked about our experience in Upper Indus Basin Network in a very sensitive river basin where we have been able to bring in countries, the riparian countries through several years, more than a decade now, to talk about science, to cooperate on science, right? So this is our experience. And with this good experience, we are now starting the similar sort of network in Yaruzangu, Brahmaputra, and then hopefully in the future, maybe also in the Ganges Basin. That is one point, I think, in terms of what we are trying to do and what we are promoting, of course, with strong support from our partners. The second thing I would like to mention is this notion that we say quite a lot is about the number of people living in those river basins. We say 1.9 billion people living in the river basin benefit from the water, benefit from the services, right? I think there is a need to go a little bit deeper than this, value of 1.9 billion people in today's deliberation here today also, we were talking about a concept of riverscape approach, right? Which essentially is something, and Dr. Faisal, you are familiar about, we have already started working on this concept in Ganges River Basin, which is also called the source to sea approach, where actually we have to go deeper into this concept and look at what upstream provides, or in terms of positive as well as negative factors, uh, to upstream, to midstream, and to downstream. So having that upstream, midstream, and downstream linkage in a more nuanced way is very, very important, right? So that is a realization, and for that, we have started basin assessment and started this basin assessment again in the Indus Basin using the network members, the knowledge, the experience of the network member to do this assessment. And since it is a collaborative effort by the network member from the 4 countries, it will be more conducive to adoption by the respective countries, right? And then this assessment can be a stepping stone to come up with cooperation framework, which can be used as a framework for cooperation in this river basin. So this is an initiative which we have started, and hopefully this will definitely, turn into something more exciting, and contribute to more, serious collaboration in this region, and can be scaled to other river basins in the region. So I'll limit to those two, initiatives which are quite concrete. We are doing. Thank you very much. Back to you, Faisalji.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arun, with very clear examples and the kind of things we are trying to do. I'm sure there must be quite a few participants who can benefit from this conversation and then engage with us on Brahmaputra Basin as well as in Ganges Basin. So we have with us Dr. Shahbaz Khan, who has very wide experience. We requested him for his closing remarks, but along with these closing remarks, I would also like to benefit with his presence of some of his experiences where UNESCO has collaborated with other international institutions or national institutions for larger agendas like International Year of Glacier Preservations. Dr. Shahbaz Khan, I request you to kindly give us some highlights on your previous experiences, as well as do some closing remarks for taking note from our deliberations in the whole panel. Dr. Shahbaz, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, dear Faisal. And thank you for all the panelists for continuing to support us with their wonderful remarks, even if we have a little bit of delay in some aspects, but very knowledgeable remarks. I just want to highlight that within the wider United Nations system, there is an effort to bring these aspects together. Of course, Sustainable Development Goals, as we know, and goal number 13 is very much relevant to today's discussion. Goal number 6 is relevant to our discussion. No poverty goals, and good health, all of them are relevant. So we have been working closely with the Chinese Academy of Sciences here, for example, in China. Third pole has been mentioned before. I helped scope it long time ago, and it's a great initiative. Belt and Road Initiative, for example. Those are important multilateral initiatives which can be, I would say, ignited to the next level to bring the knowledge. So from discussions, I'm sure it's very clear we need to continue to expand the glacier monitoring systems. And that's the work which UNESCO and WMO, especially focusing in this year. We also need to continue to develop early warning systems, especially for gloves, for example, which are a big issue. One issue we did not discuss today, and I would like to give some more ideas, is cultural heritage and traditional knowledge. In UNESCO's Open Science Initiative, traditional knowledge is very important part of open science. Local and indigenous knowledge is critical in HKH, but also greater issues related to the glacial melts around the world, and also the role of youth in preservation efforts and in climate action. And what we have done today certainly will raise the global awareness. Let me focus a little bit on the heritage aspect. There are two types of heritage in UNESCO terminology. One is tangible, like the sites and the monuments, for example. So glacier melt certainly is a major threat to the archaeological sites as they are being uncovered, and also the issue of preserving them for future. That's a very big challenge. So we need to continue to look into issues of climate change, glacial melt, and heritage protection. UNESCO World Heritage sites around the world are impacted by the glacier melt, and we need to continue to look into the preservation of the World Heritage sites in a very careful way, and the interlinkages between culture, heritage, science, and technology, and understanding the solutions. Traditional knowledge, systems, and practices, they are deeply rooted in these areas, and we need to carefully look into what efforts we can undertake to safeguard traditional knowledge and how this traditional knowledge finds its way into the climate wisdom. For many of the communities, to my understanding, in HKH region, glaciers have a special spiritual meaning, and they have spiritual significance for those people, and they also link to the deities in these areas. So we have not understood that as much as is needed. Language and oral traditions are very critical in these areas. Language and oral traditions which link with stories related to glaciers. So I think that can be another area. So let me congratulate the panelists for bringing diverse kind of aspects. UNESCO stands ready as part of the Asia Pacific Water Forum to work with all of you. ECMOD certainly has done a great job in bringing the integrated approach to management of this region, linking researchers and policymakers. I'm also very pleased to see GCSIC, which I have seen in its earlier phases, and today with wonderful presentation by Dr. Muhammad Arif Gohir, and the linkages to the Pakistan Meteorological Meteorological Department, as well as with the National Disaster Management Authorities. So I think from models and data to knowledge which is ready for the policy making, that's really our challenge. And that's what we need to continue to do more. And we have heard excellent ideas from Dr. Sanjay about the science diplomacy. Science diplomacy is now critical, more critical than ever before. And that's where the role of United Nations system, UNESCAP, UNESCO, WMO, and other, and knowledge institutions like ECMOD, which bring regional approach and cooperation for scientific diplomacy, and for institutions like GCSIC to take a proactive role in linking with global institutions and national institutions, so that there is a good scientific knowledge base for countries such as Pakistan, Nepal, which are struggling for many aspects of livelihood of people linked with the glaciers. So today is a great day, and I congratulate all panelists as well as participants to continue to be part of this movement for global water management efforts. And congratulations again to Dr. Faisal Kamar for doing another excellent moderation and for crafting the questions in an excellent way. So let's continue to maybe link together. I strongly recommend that we should have some kind of email list or WhatsApp group on this matter, and I request Faisal to take a lead, and let's continue to be part of these efforts. And if you happen to come to Beijing, most welcome to see us. And UNESCO offices in the region, including one in Nepal and in New Delhi and in Islamabad. And now also, as far as Central Asia, we will be very happy to link with you. And Asia Pacific Water Forum, where Dr. Yumiko-san has been doing a wonderful coordination. We are ready to link with you to bridge together a platform which is open to everyone. Thank you very much, dear Dr. Faisal and dear Dr. Yumiko.
Yes.
You are muted, Faisal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shahbaz, for highlighting another aspect, heritage, which is one of the core areas of work of UNESCO, and then also concluding, summarizing deliberations. So as we conclude, I want to thank you all for the panelists and participants for their valuable contribution. The depth of discussion today not only advances our understanding from our last session, but it is giving us some practical solutions. So my apologies for some technical limitations and some last minute absence of some of the panelists. But I hope we manage it well with support from Dr. Shahbaz and Dr. Arun Sharesta. We look forward to seeing these strategies come to fruition, enhancing resilience and securing water in the HKH region. Thank you very much. Over to Yumiko Asamaya, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Faisal, for not moderating very well while there are lots of uncertainty this time. And I also thank you, Dr. Sanjay, Dr. Arun, Dr. Mohammed to go here. And also, I also thank you for Dr. Zhang for delivering keynote speech and delivering very, very informative discussion. And I also thank you for all audience here. And I also thank you for choosing our webinar. There are lots of events today. And we will also share the recording of today. And we are very, very happy to hear your feedback question. And next important event is a high-level meeting for glacier preservation held in Tajikistan in the end of May. And we will need to enhance awareness building for politicians and also high-level policy maker about the urgency of addressing these years. So we really need to enhance cooperation among multi-stakeholders beyond the nation, beyond all carriers, and our cooperation is very, very helpful with us. Your cooperation is very, very helpful with us, and I also thank you. And we are hoping conduct or continuous dialogue through webinar and also through various means. Thank you so much for joining our webinar, and have a great World Day for Glacier, and have a great World Water Day tomorrow. Thank you, and have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Evening. All the best.
Good evening. All the best. Bye-bye.